here's a thought piece on climate change. We are destroying our life support system. This is how bad it is. The warming of planet Earth continues apace, and the ramifications become even more stunning with each passing month. Just this week, Chicago, colder than Antarctica. Something messed up is going on. While no single meteorological event or phenomenon can be attributed solely to human-caused climate disruption, this is now nearly always a leading cause of the event, or at the very least a major contributing factor. Recent data from the World Meteorological Office showed that 2018 was the fourth warmest on record, making the last 4 years the hottest 4 years in Earth's recorded history. On that note, it is worth remembering that the single worst mass extinction event in Earth's history was the Great Dying. That happened 252 million years ago and took out as much as 96% of all marine species and 2/3 of terrestrial life. And this occurred due to rapid planetary warming. And if it took them out, it could potentially take us out. That's the theme here. Another feedback loop has been discovered in the Arctic, this time in Greenland, where it was recently reported that melting glaciers are yet another source of methane. It was also recently revealed that Greenland saw an unprecedented loss of ice over the last 2 decades. Another study by the U.S. research team had shown that the decade of 2024 to 2013 experienced more sustained and intense melting than any other 10-year period in the 350-year record. That means Greenland is contributing more to sea level rise than previously understood, adding more than at any other time that record keeping has existed. And ice loss from the Antarctic has sextupled since the 1970s, and not sextupled in the good, kinky way. According to another study, this means ice loss has accelerated 480% in the last 4 decades. A scientist returning to the Puerto Rican rainforest recently found that 98% of all ground insects had disappeared since he was there 35 years ago. Here's what he has to say about it. The scientist's name is Brad Lister. We are essentially destroying the very life support systems that allow us to sustain our existence on the planet, along with all the other life on it. His findings come on the heels of other disturbing studies that have revealed crashing insect populations in other places around the world. And increasing temperatures alone are already threatening to decimate U.S. crop yields. And, of course, we have increasing heat waves. 1/3 of all bird species in Wales are now declining significantly. A number of Arctic reindeer has crashed by 58% due to climate change. 2 scientists warned recently that the planet's extinction toll may be far worse than previously understood. Climate change, the overpopulation of humans, exploitation of resources, and habitat destruction are combining to cause cascades of extinctions. The scientists warn that today's rates, which are already 1,000 times the normal background extinction rate, could be a staggering 10 times worse. In the U.S., another wave of U.S. citizens have become climate change refugees. In the wake of Hurricane Florence in North Carolina last fall, many peoples of the New Bern community in the eastern part of the state have had their homes and lives destroyed. Even the corporate media are now reporting on climate grief. They're calling it climate grief. What happens to us when the experiences of extreme weather events and dire climate reports, such as this one, continue to intensify? Climate grief. Oh, good grief. All this shit's happening to the planet and people are talking about it. We were going to just ignore it, but these people are saying stuff. Good grief, Charlie Brown. I guess we got to talk about it too. Are you feeling okay? We were just going to shut the fuck up about this shit and hope it went away. We were just going to not report it because we're funded by oil and gas companies. But all these crazy independent journalists and people that are in the science community and people that have peer-reviewed, evidence-based findings that they've tested and retested and blah, 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 blah. They're all like, hey, the planet, we might not be on it much longer. We got to do something. Holy shit. And we're all like, do you give us money? Do we have to listen to you? And they're like, we don't give you money, but we're the scientists. This is what we do. Trust us on this one. And we're like, oh shit, everyone else is reporting it. And people got social media these days, so they're telling their friends, blah, 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 blah. Guess we got to say something. Is it causing you grief? It's causing us grief. Way to go, corporate media. Good job. All right. Water. In addition, climate grief. Give me a freaking break. That's what the corporate... unbelievable. In addition to the aforementioned dramatic news of the melting ice sheets and glaciers of Greenland and Antarctica, another study has revealed that glaciers in the Arctic are melting so dramatically they are pouring 14,000 tons of water every second into the ocean. This means they are contributing more to sea level rise than even current melting in Antarctica, and that the Arctic region has thus contributed to nearly 1 full inch of sea level since just 1971. People are leaving high-dollar oceanfront residencies in Miami, and they're moving to higher ground because of impending sea level rise. I mean, this is crazy. It's crazy what's going on. There's still more. Okay, so here's fire now. The Guardian recently reported how several studies have shown how the U.S. is woefully prepared for extreme weather events to come, including the dramatic increase in wildfires. Last year, the wildfires in California alone destroyed thousands of structures that left 85 people dead. Meanwhile, in January, wildfires scorched many parts of Australia as large swaths of the country continued to bake under record-breaking high temperatures. Now, air. Temperature records around the world continue to soar, as do projections. In the UK, a recent report by the Met Office warned that summers could be more than 5 degrees warmer by 2070. Very disturbing news came from a Japanese satellite that has spotted signs of methane gas bubbling from beneath lakes. So this could all screw up the air quality. And now we get to the final point here, denial and reality. The Trump administration's climate change denialism has, as usual, been off the charts since the last dispatch. The response to the National Climate Assessment, an intensely comprehensive study detailing the impacts of climate change across the U.S., was to dismiss the findings. Then, in the wake of that move and unable to bury its own National Climate Assessment, since it was a government-generated report, the Trump administration and its denialist colleagues launched a full-scale assault against the science in the report. Trump said he doesn't believe it. And it's not just Trump. It's the media. It's the lack of an opposition to the right wing. It's the fact that the Democrats won't embrace a Green New Deal. It's not just Trump. It is Trump, yes, but he's not working alone. If he went away tomorrow, we'd still have a lot of hurdles to overcome to get meaningful action for climate change. All right, so let's see what else is in this article. More bad news from another report in early December 18, which showed that global carbon emissions, not just in rich countries, were on track to jump to an all-time high. Atmospheric CO2 has already set 3 daily records. So to conclude here, it is clear that runaway climate disruption is upon us, and I wonder if humans' ability to adapt to this increasingly harsh new world will be as dramatic as that of the elephants and the rattlesnakes when faced with their annihilation. Well, that was the most depressing Onion article I've ever read. No, I'm just kidding. That article is a very brilliant article summarizing everything that is really going on with climate change and what it's really doing and what it really means. That was a brilliant summary, one of the best I've ever seen. Thank you, Ken, for sharing it with us. That article comes from Truth Out. And the title again, and of course we always leave the information, and we have the headlines in the videos and so forth. But the article is from Truth Out, and it is called "We Are Destroying Our Life Support System." And you know, and as you can see, the article is as uplifting as it sounds, but you know, it's a message we all need to hear.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you wanna know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you wanna know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and